This is a wonderful Jacob's ladder construction. Um, much like the magic box or the magic wallet. This one is called the rolling cube or the rolling box. And they all work the same way. You open it just like you would an ordinary box, but then it can keep rolling until it goes all the way around. You can make them smaller. You can even make them different shapes. This one is large enough for a 3x5 card. It's a very cool structure. It almost looks like it would be impossible to do, but it's not. So we're going to make the small 2.5 by 2.5 inch cube. Each box is 1 inch high, and the base is 2.5 by 2.5. You can make them any size. This one just happens to be 3 inches by 5.25 by 1.5 inch high. You just have to experiment to find out the size that you want to make. Now this only uses a very small amount of board. You can use book board, but you can also use board if it's nice and thick of a cracker box or, really a cereal box, something that's kind of firm. Maybe one of those candy boxes that come. But this is just chipboard. And all you need are 2 pieces. Each of these is 2.5 by 2.5. And these are 2.5 by 1 inch. And there are 8 of them. So let's get started. We're going to make 2 boxes. I'm using PVA glue, but Elmer's glue would work just fine for you as well. I'm just going to take a little of this and put it on the corner of my gluing board. Keep my brush in a baggie. It won't get all dried out. Usually I wash it in between uses. So I will take one of these bottoms. Let's see. And we'll put just a little bit of glue on the long side of one of these 2.5 by 1 inch pieces. And then I'll stand it up on top of the 2.5 inch square and hold it there for just a minute. And we'll hold it there until it's nice and firm. There are so many structures that use the basic Jacob's ladder stuff. There are eternity cards or never-ending cards. There are traditional Jacob's ladders, the ones that go click, 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 a series of things on them. There are scene Jacob's ladder cards. There are just so many different kinds of things that use that same structure. All right, as soon as this is up like that, I'm going to take another side and butt it up against there gently. You're going to take 2 of these sides and you're going to mark where the end of the base comes on those pieces. This allows us to get an exact measurement for how long the sides need to be. And because this is chipboard, it makes it very easy. You don't need to get out a knife and a cutting board. You can just cut it to the right size. And then you want to put glue on a long side and a short side. So we do one long side first, then we do the 2 shorter sides. And when we put it in place, there should still be just a little bit left here at the end for that final piece. And if there's extra glue on here, usually I'll just take my finger and wipe it off. But you have to hold that in place too until it dries. All right, and then we'll do the other side. Which one of these is the long one? Which is the short one? Okay, this is the short side. Another Jacob's ladder structure that is really fun is the magic wallet. And that's where you put a piece of paper inside of this little closed thing. And then when you open it up, it's on the other side. It has a little X in the middle. Very, very cool structure also. All right. And after we got these on there, probably still not totally dry, you're going to take the fourth side and it's going to just go right on here. And so the way you glue that is very simple. Simply put glue on the bottom. And then since it has to butt up against these two sides, you put glue on one of the flat surfaces. Like that. Okay, and then I would turn this over and put a gentle weight on it, nothing too heavy, just to help it dry. And then we're going to build the other one in exactly the same way. I'm going to use Chiagami paper to cover this because Chiagami paper is strong, and we're going to make these hinges out of paper as well. Now you could use ribbon, which I did on here, but I really like the way that it looks, like especially on this one. I used the same paper for the ribbon, and I think it looks kind of cool because it just kind of disappears into the whole box. And the thing to remember if you're using Chiagami is you always cut off the border before you do anything with it, because it really it's annoying if you've measured something and go to put it on whatever you're covering and there's a white border where you didn't intend one. Right. To cover the side, you're just going to figure this is 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5. So it's 10 inches around. And so we need a piece of paper that's 11 inches. So we have a little overlap by 3 inches. So let's measure this. We need 11 inches by 3 inches. Let's see how long this paper is. Well, it's 12, a little over 12. That'd be fine. I'm going to cut 2 of those, one for each side, and cut it with 2 scissors. Okay. Then I draw a line, a guideline for when we cover the box. It's 3/8 of an inch from the long side of the paper. Then you orient it with the box, the open part of the box facing away from you, and that guideline in front of you. And we're going to just put this box right on the very end. Let me do it like this. The box is right on the very end of our cover paper. And then you take the rest of it and crease the bottom. Crease this. give this little puppy a roll. And crease that one. And then we're to the point where this bottom corner comes up, so it's exactly even with this, and this is going to have a little overlap. You know, and you want maybe an inch or half an inch somewhere in there. I'm just going to give it a trim. So it's going to fold over like that. So I'm going to keep my hand here. Most important thing is that this paper where we started comes right up to the edge of the box. So I'm going to put now just ignore that little stream of glue that I spilled. And I put enough for the overlap on the side. It's going to come off like this. And keeping that guideline even with the bottom of the box. Okay, and I'm just going to double check one last time. See, this comes up. Yep, it comes up just where it's supposed to. And now I'm going to take this and put it back like that and keep my hand up underneath here. And I'm basically just going to go continue around the box, gluing the paper to the sides. And this last piece should come right even with this corner. And if it doesn't, if it needs a little tiny trim, it's no problem. Just go ahead and cut off just a little bit. We want it to meet at the corner because then the seam becomes basically invisible, which is a good thing. And then we're going to put glue on that final side. And then I like to put glue on this little overlap area too, so the papers are glued together. So it's right like this. And after I'm done with that, then I come bottom up, pinch each corner, just do a little tiny V at that corner, nothing much. And then I'm going to put glue on the bottom and glue these pieces down. And it kind of does a little automatic miter, but you're going to be covering that bottom anyway, so no big deal. I'm going to put this up just a little bit more. Okay, so then after you have this side, now we're going to try and cut this and cover the inside of the box. And the way I do that, I take my bone folder and I put my thumb on the outside here, this thumb, and I'm going to just go from the corner on out. I'm going to score it. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut parallel to that corner score, even with the inside of the box on two opposite sides. So I've done it on this side. Now I'm going to do it on this side. All right. And then, because I've cut parallel to that corner and on the inside of the box, this is going to fold down flush inside, even inside. So for right now, I'm going to fold that back because these two sides that are going to fold in flush and even are the last things that I do. So now this side, you can kind of see, kind of wraps around a little here and here. So we're going to put glue on there and fold it down. Just kind of fold it down with your fingers And it's going to need to be smooth because you can see how wrinkly it is. I'm just taking my bone folder and I'm smoothing everything down. Now it's going to wrap around the corners a little bit. Whoops. Wrap around the corners a little bit. Around this corner, and it's going to be wrap around the bottom. And I'm going to take a piece of my handy dandy wipe. And I'm going to wipe up the spill that I made before. And I'm going to wipe the glue off of here. To a certain extent, Chiagami is waterproof because every time that they laid on the silk screen, they would wash the paper again before they put on the next color. I know on this, it doesn't look like there are a lot of colors, but there's the orange, the gold, and then there's a pink, a pinky gold also. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. I'm going to use my bone folder to smooth everything away like that. And then these sides are just going to fold in really easily. And because the other two sides folded around the corner, you have a really neat corner seam. Can't even tell where one began and the other finished. And then the final side. The only thing left to do now on this box is we want to glue a piece of paper here. We want to glue a piece of paper here. And it's going to be about 2.5 inches square, a little bit smaller. So maybe 2 1/8. I want to just cut right inside of that. Measure. And I'm going to cut right inside of this a little bit. And then, let's see, I put this in there. And I'm going to have to cut off a little bit more, which is okay. But all I'm doing, I'm putting it in there. And it's going to be overlapping a little bit. So I'll put it in and then remove it so I can cut it to size. The other way of doing that would be to measure the inside of the box and then cut a square. But anytime I don't have to measure is a win. So this is going to fit exactly inside of there. And then this piece is going to fit right on the outside here. So I'm going to cut another piece right away. I'm going to use this as a little template. And if I wanted to, I could cut out 2 more because I'm going to be doing the same thing with the other little box. Okay, so let's glue this on the bottom. Like that, that looks good. And then I'm going to glue this on the inside. This design was unknown to me until about 3 or 4 years ago. And a really wonderful paper artist from the Netherlands, Bep van Gasteren, brought it to my attention. She and a group of friends had discovered the structure several years before. And Bep is always very generous about sharing. And then I went ahead and made the rectangular box, and then recently Bep did the same thing. So great minds. All right, so here is one half of the rolling cube, and now I'm going to make the other box. corner can use a little TLC. If I wanted to, I could put just another piece of paper around here to be sure that it stays closed, or I could put a piece of Scotch tape. Either one would be fine. But first I'm going to draw, while that's drying, I'm going to just draw a line, 3/8 of an inch from the bottom of this long paper. And then we know since each side is 2.5, and we're going to need at least 10 and probably closer to 11 inches, I'm going to measure 11 inches. Because remember, we had to cut off this other piece that was so much longer. Okay, so I will make this line for our guideline. And then I'm going to cut off the end so we don't have to do it later. Okay. Start the box right on the end of the paper I'm using. And I go up, increase at that corner. I go over, increase at that corner. And then I roll the whole thing over. And roll this down, increase at these two corners. Then keeping my hand over here, I'm going to just fold this back and put glue on this side and down here enough on this side just for that little overlap piece. And then I'll go around and continue gluing the other three sides. I'm going to pinch these bottom corners. Just snip off the very tips. And put glue on that. I think I'm just going to put glue on all 4 of these little strips right away because we're going to glue them very quickly. There's no chance the glue will dry in between. It's just going 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to cut another piece here and another piece for the inside. But first, you're going to take your bone folder, put your thumb on the outside down here, and score out directly from the corner, just at a 90-degree angle. And then you're going to cut parallel to that score line on 2 sides, the opposite sides, and on the inside of the box. So here, let me bring you down a little closer. So I don't know, can you see that right here? Here is my my score line, and right here is where I cut. I cut it along the inside of this piece here. All right, so we take the 2 sides that are going to fold in flush. I'm going to leave the 2 sides that kind of wrap around a little bit on the edges, and I'm going to glue those down. And you know, each time you have to use your bone folder because, I mean, look how bumpy that is and full of wrinkles. You want it to be as smooth as you can possibly make it. But since we're covering the bottom and the other sides are going to be coming in, most of the really bumpy places are going to be covered. But we still want it as smooth as we can make it. All right, and as you can see, this goes around the corners a little bit. So here's the corner. Whoops, there. Here's the corner right here. And you can see that that wraps around a little. So when we push these down on that corner seam becomes almost invisible. And you're still going to need your bone folder. Just make that go down as smoothly as you can. Be sure and go around the corners with your bone folder. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut the two pieces for the inside floor and the bottom. The nice thing about this, it just kind of seems almost invisible on the bottom. You can hardly tell there's a piece glued there because it's the same. You could make it different. You know, on this one, I did make it different. So you can certainly make your own artistic choices about this. All right, so now we have the two pieces that will make the rolling cube. The next thing for us to do is to cut the pieces that we're going to be using for the hinges. And I'll take each one of these and fold it exactly in half, as exactly as I can. And then after I have them all folded in half, I'm going to take my brush and just put glue on one half of it and then fold it in half and glue the two sides together. So this is what a piece of the folded ribbon looks like. And if you find out that, you know, there are any white spots, like here along here, I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that off, because that will show if we're not careful. Okay, then you go ahead and make the other ribbons. I'm going to fold them on this to be easier to see. Okay, I'm going to put this here and fold that over. And then I'm just going to put glue on the part that I folded. It's going to go right next to the end of the box, right up against that corner. And we're going to do another one the same way. On the larger box, we use 4 hinges, but you'll see it's much the same. All right, so it's over there in that corner. And then these go down. This other box gets put on top of them. And these come up and around into the inside. So I'm marking where to cut this. And then I'm going to just, because I also marked where it went up over the rim, I'm going to just put that on. And you want it, I'm going to pull it taut, and it's going to go up, and it's going to go over like that. And the same thing on this side. Fold it over, increase it on the bottom, increase it where it folds over. And we're going to take that off. And we're going to put glue right there. I'm going to lift this up for just a minute, make sure that I have it taut enough. Okay, I'm going to hold these next to each other and just pull this tight. Yeah, well, that's good. All right, then the other one is going to go, how about this one? Let me trim off this end. This one is going to start in the opposite box first. It's going to go right in between the other two. So let's put it like this and fold it over like that. And that's where we're going to put our glue. And then this is going to slide down in between the two boxes. And don't take it so far that I did. Leave this glued down there. But then pull it taut. And then this is going to come up on this side. And again, where you crease it, we're going to cut off here. And then where this is bent, we're going to put a little glue right there. And then the box will close like this. And when you open it, it will go like this, like that, like that, and like that. And that's the rolling cube.